In 2023, I hiked about 2,200 miles in all sorts of different environments, from about 1,000 miles in the desert to about 1,000 miles in the Canadian Rockies. And on each and every single one of the trips that I took, I made a very thoughtful point to try and test new gear. So we're gonna look at what really stood out from last year. What gear was my favorite, and what am I gonna continue using into the future? Probably my favorite new piece of gear to come out of 2023 has been my smartwatch. This is a Coros Pace 2, which I use to track all of my hikes and the majority of my training. It can basically let me know if I've been sleeping well. It tells me when the sun rises and when the sun sets. It tells me how fast I'm going. The list really goes on endlessly, and I personally found a lot of this data to be useful while out through hiking. And then of course, once I'm done with the trip, I think it's really, really cool to be able to look back at every single day of my hike in a whole new way beyond just memories and photos. I know where I camped every single night. I know how far I went every single day. I can deduce if I was feeling good that day if I don't personally remember. I can see exactly where I was, and I think that's a really fun thing. I wasn't really sure that I was gonna love something like this because you're out in the woods, you're far away from an electrical outlet, and you kinda gotta charge it on the go. Well, the best part about this watch is that I can get 3 full hiking days of battery life out of it, and that's using the GPS. I think without using the GPS, I'm getting like 3 weeks worth of battery life out of it. So, all right, the 3 days is up and now I need to charge the thing. Well, even that turned out to be not that big of a deal because the smartwatch battery is only 310 milliamp hours in size. So when it comes to my 10,000 or 20,000 milliamp hour battery, when it comes to recharging, it literally doesn't even make a dent in my battery. Now, I can see how all this data from every single day of your hike and in the moment while you're out there could be a big negative for some people. So I don't really want to gloss over that, and I don't think a smartwatch is for every single person out there. But for me, personally, I've really loved it. Let's see, right on top, I have a tent that I used this year. This is the Zpacks Altaplex. This model weighs 17 ounces. I got it in the thicker fabric, so if you get one of the thinner fabrics, then I think it's gonna weigh even less than that. Part of the big draw of the Altaplex, instead of getting like the Plex Solo, is that the Altaplex is made specifically for people on the taller side, or people that are like 6 foot and over. I'm 6'2", and so a lot of tents, I have to like scrunch up into a fetal position to be able to like really fit inside of them if there's a big storm or if there's a lot of condensation within the shelter. I really felt that I could absolutely stretch out inside of it. So if you're a little bit shorter than 6 feet tall, then maybe the Plex Solo would be an even better option as it's lighter and you wouldn't necessarily need something that is as long as this one. So the Altaplex, I thought that it was very easy to set up. It held up great in giant windstorms while I was down in New Mexico. It kept me absolutely dry and safe and happy when I was getting absolutely slammed with a super weird storm down in Southern California. So I'm gonna continue using this tent. I really liked it. I'm probably gonna use it on trips where rain is just an inevitability, where bugs are an inevitability, and I look forward to it. So the Zpacks Altaplex, definitely a favorite from this year that I'm really, really looking forward to taking on more trips. Now, originally this year, I had wanted to try out a much more expensive, much fancier stove. It was the Snow Peak Light Max. And honestly, what I found was that the extra weight and the extra price just wasn't really worth it. So what I wound up with instead is, of course, the BRS 3000T. It only weighs 0.9 ounces and it only costs $16. I have actually owned this for about 5 years and it's still going strong. So that's $16 and about 5 years of use and still working. So I'm pretty happy with it and I'm gonna keep using it. So the big complaint that a lot of people have with this is the fuel efficiency. I personally found that I could get about 10 days worth of meals out of it, and I was pretty happy with that. But if you are looking to upgrade from the BRS to something nicer, something more fuel efficient, then I think the Soto Amicus is what you're looking for. Now, next up, we have this rain jacket. This is the Patagonia Torrent Shell. In the past, I always used those like super ultralight rain jackets, and I think for most trails, that's all you're really gonna need. But there's definitely a lot of trails out there where you're gonna want something more. Like a lot of East Coast trails where you're just gonna be hiking through the rain all the time. You know, a lot of ultralight rain jackets just aren't gonna keep you dry if you're hiking in the rain for like 10 hours. There's certain features that I was absolutely looking for, and the biggest of them is pit zips. I think a rain jacket is absolutely useless if it does not have pit zips, because what these are made for is to keep everything out. And in turn, what that does is anything that's inside of them, your body heat, just gets trapped inside. So you absolutely need a way when wearing any rain jacket to be able to vent off that heat. Now this one also has really nice big pockets, and I certainly enjoyed having that on those cold days. I know a lot of rain jackets out there, kind of in the more ultralight class, do not have pockets. Now as for weight, it comes in at 14 ounces, which is definitely heavier than a lot of the ultralight rain jackets out there. When you can find a rain jacket that weighs like 7 ounces or something along those lines, for me, it was really hard to buy something that's like twice the weight. Given the features and what I wanted to use it for and what it's able to do for me, I felt like having something a little bit heavier was an absolute necessity. So the real reason that I went with this rain jacket instead of a lot of the other really popular ones out there that are kind of in this same weight class and have these same features is the price. This jacket cost me less than $179. I think that's the retail price, and I got it for 20% off. It is frequently on sale. So I chose this one because of the price, and boy am I happy I did. The Arc'teryx Beta is $400, almost never ever ever on sale, and doesn't even have pit zips. The Montbell Storm Cruiser, also never on sale, $350. So the Patagonia Torrent Shell has a lot of really great features. It's a jacket that is absolutely gonna keep you dry. It's not something you're gonna need for every trail out there, but I think it's a really, really great piece of gear. I was super happy with it, even happier than I was expecting to be, given the weight, and I would absolutely recommend it. Now the next item I tried this year is the Senchi. Not only did I try it, but my partner Sprocket, on every trail that we hiked together, she used it. So I also got to see how she liked it and how it worked after all that time out on trail. This is the Senchi Alpha 60 hoodie. I got the 60 weight. They also make them in 90 weight and 120 weight. The higher the number, the warmer it's going to be. I chose 60 because I am who I am, and I generally want the lightest possible option. Now, originally, I was very skeptical about these fleeces because literally looking at them up close, like, you can basically see through them. And I kind of equated that to these are not gonna be durable at all. Now, after watching Sprocket use hers for over 1,000 miles, I am definitely happy now with how durable this fabric has turned out to be. Originally, I just didn't want something that was gonna last me like half of a through hike. So I'm glad to report that these are more durable than they look. So the durability turned out to be pretty great. But the best thing about this fleece is how lightweight it is. I think this one right here weighs 4.1 ounces. You want to compare that to my Melanzana, which weighs 13 ounces. You know, there is just no fleece out there that weighs as little as this. So the weight of this thing is absolutely ridiculous, and that is probably my favorite part about it. I'm really, really excited to use it on all of my hikes next year, and looking forward to reporting back after that as well. But for now, this year, this has absolutely been one of my favorite pieces of gear to come out of 2023. Now, something else I tried this year that I was really excited for is a quilt. So this is the Enlightened Equipment Accomplice. It is a 2-person quilt. and it is something that I've wanted for a long time now. So I was really excited to try it out this year. My biggest fear with a 2-person quilt was going to be that there's just not gonna be enough space inside of it for 2 people to be comfortable and happy living together that close every day. I'm really happy to say that it was absolutely big enough, and we both found that we could have our space. There was enough room for both of us, so plenty of space for 2 people, and that was absolutely fantastic. Now, another cool advantage of using a 2-person quilt instead of just 2 separate quilts is we both found that we thought this was warmer than it would have been if we were both in our separate quilts. So this is a 20 degree, and we felt like we easily could have saved even more weight and just gone with a 30 degree instead, because we were so much warmer together, both heating up the inside of this quilt, than we would have been if we were alone in 20 degree quilts. So I think for couples who are hiking together, this is just a really cool option, and I think just a fun way to kind of split up gear and divvy up gear. I think it's got a lot of nice benefits, and yeah, we really liked it. So the Enlightened Equipment Accomplice Quilt. So another piece of gear I wanted to try this year, and something I've never used before, was an inflatable mattress, and specifically the NeoAir X Lite. I used this on almost every single trip that I took this year, definitely over 2,000 miles worth of use. And I even used it in the desert. I didn't have any foam underneath it, and it proved to be more durable than I would have expected. I never got a pop, I never got a leak, never had a single problem with the thing. At 14 ounces, it's not something that I personally am gonna bring on every single trip in existence, because foam is just lighter weight. But for those that want more comfort in sleeping, then an inflatable is definitely the way, and I thought the NeoAir was pretty great. The extra warmth that this provided, I felt was very noticeable, and personally, that is what I'm going to be using it for into the future. I know that there are lighter inflatable mattresses out there, but I'm still just not sure that I really trust the durability. You know, 2,000 miles of using this one without a single puncture or leak, I'm pretty happy with it, and I think I'm just gonna stick with it. For the vast majority of people, I think an inflatable pad is what you're gonna want. Given the extra comfort, given the extra warmth, it's really hard to beat something like this. This has been all of my favorite gear from 2023. I really got around last year, and I really tried to use a whole lot of new gear. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a little thumbs up. If you aren't already, please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more stuff like this. And let me know if you want to see individual reviews of any of the gear that I used last year. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.